So we got tariffs on people on things coming in, but we're exporting this the American way.
When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying. Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, let's move on to Sunday morning football in Madrid, Spain. We have the 3-7 Washington Commanders playing the 3-7 Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are considered the home team for this game. And the Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites. The projected total is 47.5 points, which means Vegas is telling us they expect the Washington Commanders to score 22.5 points while the Dolphins score 25. As far as injuries, Washington has some big ones. Obviously, Jayden Daniels is out, although there have been reports that he may be back in a couple of weeks potentially. Also out is star wide receiver Terry McLaurin with a quad injury. And questionable is Chris Rodriguez, part of their running back triumvirate. He left the game with a shoulder injury. On Miami side, they look pretty healthy coming through last week, but the only one questionable so far is tight end Julian Hill. All right, Mike, Steph, who you got in Spain?
Talk about the Commanders first. They're 3-7, having lost 5 straight. Their latest loss against the Detroit Lions this past week when it was non-competitive whatsoever. Their starting quarterback, Marcus Mariota, went 16-22 with 213 yards and a pair of touchdowns, but mostly in garbage time. Jacory Krosky Merritt had 30 yards on 11 carries, and Traylon Burks had 58 yards on 3 catches. Now, Washington, as you mentioned, is without their starting quarterback, Jayden Daniels, who got injured in garbage time. And now they're out without their defensive lineman, Darren Payne, who was ejected last week in the first half after he turned around and punched Amon-Ra St. Brown in the helmet after one of Jahmyr Gibbs' touchdowns. Like, is that team imploding from the inside? Commanders head coach, former defensive coordinator himself, Dan Quinn, announced Monday that he will be taking over defensive play calling duties from defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. Quinn opened Monday's press conference with a statement about the change, saying that it was time to switch things up. The head coach will take over defensive coordinator duties starting this week in week 11. Now, Quinn said that Witt Jr. and the rest of the defensive staff were on board and that they were consumed with getting things right. Meaning Joe Witt Jr. probably is a dead man walking and he will not be retained at the end of the season. Now, when it comes to the Dolphins pulled off the miraculous upset last week at home against the Buffalo Bills, 30-13 to snap their 7-game losing streak against their division rivals, who had not lost to Miami since week 3 of the 2022 season. That shows you what of a long shot it was. Devon Achane was able to amass 225 total yards from scrimmage, 174 yards on the ground, 51 yards receiving, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Achane would force 11 missed tackles and gain a massive 100 yards rushing after forcing a missed tackle. After the game was finished, he would amass 195 yards after contact, meaning he was the man. So I'm going to stay chalk. Miami I'm not saying they found their footing. No way, no how. And tell you the truth, the last time they've been overseas, they've crapped the bed. But I just think they have more going for them than Washington. Washington realizes that their promising season is done. And I just think that's going to take out some of the enthusiasm they normally would have. So I'm going to go Miami minus the 2.5, over, under.
The Commanders are 1-5 when Mariota plays. Of course, a couple of those games he was taking over for Daniels that get injured during the game. The one win was Mariota's first start versus Las Vegas. At the time, it looked like a pretty good win, and Mariota looked dominant. We didn't know how bad Vegas was at the time. Since then, it's been all losses. Not all on the offense, though, because Washington is 31st versus the pass as far as yards given up, which is the reason that Dan Quinn feels like he needs to take over. I don't like wild cards in there. Maybe Dan Quinn figures it out and immediately they're a shutdown defense. I just don't believe it. So I am going to take the Dolphins minus the 2.5. I think Jayden Waddle is going to be waddling his way to a couple of touchdowns.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
NFL is doing them a disservice. Oh yeah, you played last week. Guess what? We're going to fly you 15 hours across the world to beat up your bodies even more. Yeah, show them what American football is all about. The American way. Make football great again. Listen, you know what? That's even. Sorry. Darn it. Yeah, what he said. Shoot, not getting me in trouble.